Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am your muse Tracy. I am your favorite manifestation coach, and I am here to inspire you and empower you to live the life of your dreams, to create on purpose exactly what you want in all areas of your life, to stop settling and to stop suffering. You are not here to suffer. If that sounds good to you, you are more than welcome to subscribe to my channel. I do offer one-on-one coaching to help you transform and revolutionize your life in all areas. So this coaching program is like none other that you will find, and this is the way that I would want to be coached and the way that I know will be the last coaching that you will ever need, right? So we work together 2 to 3 times per week, and in between you have email access to me for anything that comes up, any extra support that you need. And we work together very closely. We work together to go over your history. I want to learn all about you because this is really about uncovering what makes you you, right? We all have experiences that contribute to make up who we are and the programming that we function from. And that's what I want to learn about. Super important. Then we go through getting out your limiting beliefs, uncovering your limiting beliefs, so that we can change them, right? We can change them, we can rewrite them. We go through the process of rewriting them. I teach you how to rewrite your beliefs, processing emotions from the past so that you're not tied to past events or past versions of people. Super important to release those emotions from the past. We go through some maybe even some gratitude for your past experiences. And then I start to teach you some effortless manifestation techniques, or rather effortless ways that you manifest. You already manifest effortlessly. But if you want to manifest exactly what you want effortlessly, this is what I'm teaching you. And this is really cleaning up your belief system is a huge part of that. All right, you guys, so if you have any questions about that, you can leave me a comment down below or send me an email, and let's get into the video. Okay, so today's video is all about, is it delusion or creation? And I'm doing this video because I find myself talking to a lot of my clients about this, and some of them still struggle with this. And this is actually the essence to the foundation of conscious creation, right? Well, this, and of course, knowing who you are, you sort of have to know who you are. And when you do, then you can call it delusion or you can call it creation, either way. But what I really want to clear up is the notion of being delusional is bad. No, it's not bad. It is not bad. And it can have a negative connotation. So a lot of people, let's say most people outside of law of assumption, use delusion. They say, when you're being positive about something, like maybe I'll win the lottery, then they might use that, oh, don't be delusional, right? Or um, I don't know, something like wanting to have a relationship with someone who, you were with and you're not with now, and they broke up with you and they left you. And, maybe you're talking to a friend and they are saying, well, don't be delusional, right? Things like this, right? Things in the positive end of the spectrum. People, if you get too far out there, then people are like, ooh, be careful, don't be delusional, right? But when you're going on the negative end of the spectrum, they don't do that, do they? They don't say like, oh, if you're going to, even if it's something like, I don't know, just being cautious about something, or buying insurance comes to mind. Like, that's kind of like planning for an accident on some level. And nobody ever says, oh, don't be delusional that you might get into an accident, right? So it's not used on the negative end of the spectrum, only the positive end of the spectrum. And this is really important to understand because, again, this is the essence, the foundation of being a conscious creator, is that you go towards the positive end of the spectrum. You go ahead and think about, expect, and focus on what it is that you want. Call it delusion if you want to. I call it creation. Okay. So When you plan for the worst, you will most likely receive the worst. That's the thing, you guys. So again, going on the negative end of the spectrum, that's totally fine, totally acceptable by most people. Yes, definitely, be cautious, expect bad things. No, that's not okay, actually. That should be called delusion. Positive end of the spectrum, that should be more welcomed, more accepted, more encouraged. Why are we not encouraging that? Let's start encouraging that. Again, I know this is mostly outside of law of assumption, but in every walk of life, this is what should be encouraged, people to focus on the positive. So let's see, what else did I want to talk about? About delusion. Um, so you have to be willing to focus on the wanted outcome and claim that it is so for you before you have any evidence. And again, this is what you might call delusion. If you want to call it that, go for it. Just know that this is the essence of conscious creation. Remember, as Neville says, one of his quotes is that evidence follows, it does not precede. Follows what? It follows you being delusional. It follows you focusing on the wanted thing, assuming the wanted thing. Law of assumption. You have to go ahead and assume what you want is real and true, and then the evidence follows. So let's use some examples. I know some of you were asking for examples. So I know a lot of you want to manifest a specific person, so let's take that for an example. If you want to manifest commitment, you need to assume right away, before you have any evidence, that you are now in a committed relationship. If you want to assume that let's talk about money then. If you want to assume that you have the amount of money that you would like to have coming into your experience every month on repeat, you go ahead and assume that. Let's say you're getting a job. Well, you are trying to apply for jobs, and maybe you've applied for jobs, you've interviewed, you assume that's your job. You're not waiting for the evidence. The evidence follows your assumption, right? So this is what I'm really wanting to convey with this message, is you're not waiting to make your assumption. You're not waiting on the evidence to show up and then you say, oh, okay, I got an offer, so yes, I got the job. No, your job as a conscious creator, as a deliberate creator and a deliberate manifester, if you want a job, if you want a specific amount of money, if you want a specific person, if you want a specific car, if you want a specific house, if you want a specific appearance change, you're not waiting for the evidence. Your job is to assume that it is already so. Be delusional. This is how you create something different, right? So we can talk about parallel realities, and being delusional is actually a requirement for you to shift into a different parallel reality. Well, I should say a much different parallel reality. You're always shifting into parallel realities every millisecond. That's how you can experience any movement at all. But in order to really see a shift into something that you would prefer, like something drastic, you have to bring your consciousness there first. You have to be delusional, okay? So that's, again, you're always shifting parallel realities. That's how you can experience any movement. But the reason things seem to be not changing too much, like time is going by, but it seems like the same thing is happening day in and day out and day in and day out, is because you continue to assume what you assumed yesterday because you don't want to be delusional. Okay, so this is the habit that you need to break. Allow yourself to be delusional. Why not? Be delusional. So when I was learning all of this, and I think probably the first time I heard about being delusional, and even when I would try to, create my new assumption, my own brain wanted to be like, hey, I don't think so, because we don't see evidence of that, and I think you're being delusional. And at first I would be like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be delusional. I should maybe observe my reality and make my assumption from that, right? But as I went along and as I learned more and more, when my own mind would try to tell me, hey, you're being delusional, I would say, yeah, okay, good, I'm doing it right. Okay, perfect, I'm on the right track. That's how I create something different. That's how I transform and shift my own reality, right? So I didn't even let my own mind, my ego, my brain try to tell me, ooh, I'm doing something wrong. Very important, you guys, right? We're not reacting to circumstances. We're also not reacting to our own thoughts, our own programming, our own, limiting beliefs that might come up along the way. We're not doing that either, right? So yes, you have to be willing to tell a different story. I'm reading my notes a little bit. I made so many notes. I have so much to say about this. So I just want to make sure I get it all out. So you have to be willing to tell a different story about your specific person, about money, about your body, about your job, about everything before you see the different story. You go first. You tell a different story first. You be delusional. Yes, and I was also mentioning to go back and watch my video about no competition, right? And my own personal story where I was told one thing and I started to assume something different immediately. I didn't wait. You guys, this is the problem. Like if you wait, if you are told something, like let's take a job example. If you want my personal example, you can go watch that video. But a job example, if you're told, and you can do this with anything, this is just one example. So if you are told, okay, we liked your interview, but we gave the job to someone else, they're more qualified. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to accept that. You say in your own mind, no, I don't believe that's true. I don't believe that's true. If you really want the job, right? If it's something that you really wanted and you really, want to shift into the parallel reality that already exists, by the way, where they are telling you that you did get the job, you don't have to accept that. You do not have to accept anything. You're getting feedback from your reality, which is just showing you what you previously focused on, what you previously believed, and it's sort of checking in. It's never final. It's one option. So you never have to settle and say, oh, 3D is showing me what's real and true. No, it's not doing that. It's showing you what you previously assumed, what you previously believed in. And it's almost a question. I know it doesn't sound like a question, but it's kind of a question. So if they come to you, the interviewer or the recruiter or whoever you're dealing with comes and says, you didn't get the job, we gave it to someone else. In your mind, in your consciousness, you can go ahead and say, they gave it to me. That didn't work out with that person. They gave the job to me. And you commit to that. And you don't waver, and you don't shake, and you don't move, and you don't worry, and you don't panic, and you don't freak out. You continue to assume what it is that you prefer. Because when you do that and you feel as if it is so, right? You don't need to feel about the current circumstances. You feel as if your assumption, although counter or contradictory to the evidence, is what is so. You will shift yourself into the parallel reality where they come back and they tell you something different. They tell you what you heard, what you decided was true in your consciousness. This is the power that you have, you guys. You never have to base your assumptions on 3D reality. I explain this so much in my videos. That's actually what reacting is. It's not your emotions. It's what you decide to believe and to assume to be true. And you're always free to assume whatever you want to be true. You are free to decide to assume whatever you want to be true. The mistake that I see with my clients, that I used to make as well, and maybe this is the mistake that you're making, that's why I'm doing this video. The mistake is that you base your assumptions on what you currently have observed, what someone told you, what you think is possible, what you think you deserve, right? You don't base it on what you want, you base it on facts. And so you are always shifting parallel realities, but they look almost the same, 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 because that's how much you're willing to change your assumption because you don't want to be delusional. So feel free to first Change the meaning of delusion. So, you don't have this think you're doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. Just change the meaning, like I did when I was going through this. My brain was still trying to tell me, you're being delusional. And I would say, good, I'm doing it right. Woohoo. So you can feel free to give it a different meaning. It's just one meaning, right? And it's kind of the wrong meaning. It doesn't need to be bad. Again, think about the example that I gave. It's very conditional, right? If you think too, positive, you're delusional. If you're thinking negative, like you're afraid you're going to fall off a cliff or you have to buy insurance, so blah, blah, blah. Or maybe I don't know, I'm not trying to encourage you guys to be unsafe, but you plan for the worst. Whatever you're thinking to plan for the worst, totally fine, totally acceptable. No, actually it's not. Not when you know that you are the one creating. Totally not acceptable, right? So change the meaning. Call that stuff delusion. No, I don't want to be delusional in that way. I know I'm safe. I know I'm protected. I know I'm always thriving. I know I'm always um, leveling up. I know I'm always improving. I know I'm always moving forward. I know I'm always evolving. I know I'm always becoming more, receiving more, getting more, loving more, right? Go on the positive end of the spectrum. Right. So, I'm going to say it one more time. You're not waiting for things to change in order for you to change your assumption. Okay. That is one of the mistakes that I see that I don't want you to make. Your job as a conscious creator, you go ahead and choose your assumption now. Go ahead, choose your assumption now. And you just immediately become delusional towards your preferred outcome. You don't wait. And guess what follows? The signs, the evidence of your assumption. It does. It has to. That's the law, right? So you have to be willing to do this. And it does not need to make logical sense. I know a lot of you are, maybe your job is to be logical. Maybe you're a biologist or you're a scientist or you're, a programmer or you deal with logic. I know a lot of you do because you come into my coaching and you tell me how you struggle with the logical mind. And so you maybe take what you do with your life's work and you try to apply that to what you're doing in manifesting. Okay, it doesn't work. You don't need to be logical. Why? Because of parallel realities. Because of parallel realities. We're not dealing with a linear timeline. We're dealing with infinite parallel realities that you can shift into at any time, at will. This is your gift, right? If you allow yourself to do it. So throw logic out the window or just use the logic when you're working, if that's your work, okay? But when it comes to manifesting, you don't need logic. It's limiting. It's holding you back. It's not necessary. It's a little bit of a misunderstanding, right? Because of parallel realities. So you don't need to be logical. It doesn't need to make logical sense. You're free to assume your preference right now before you have any evidence. Be delusional, okay? Be delusional. It's no problem. All right, you guys, I think that's it for this one. So let me know in the comments if you like to use the word delusional. Again, I know maybe some of you don't like the word. Choose a different word. The essence of this video is that we're not waiting. We're not waiting for the evidence to be there before we choose to assume something, anything that we prefer. Okay, that's very limiting. You don't want to do that. Feel free, allow yourself, open yourself up to the possibilities of assuming what you want right now, and you can apply it to any subject. All right? I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.